Well, hello, everyone. Hello.
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 All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Bridget Leonard, better known as Dr. B. And this evening, I have a special treat for you. I have the best of the best sitting on this stage today. I know that we've been hyping it up for about a month now about the benefits of cannabis and CBD. So we have a show today titled High Feedback About Cannabis and CBD. The high stands for hearing info, getting honest feedback from the experts that are in the field. I'm talking about women that are out here with their cannabis and their CBD businesses doing the thing and are willing to show you and explain to you why they chose to go this route and the health benefits that are involved. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and do a round robin and do some introductions. I wouldn't do it any justice if I tried to do the introductions myself, so I will let the ladies introduce themselves. Ladies, to reduce feedback, if you're not speaking, if you can go on mute, that would be great. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Miss Erica.
Hello. How are you guys? I'm Erica. I am the CEO of Cannabis Heal. And what my main goal with cannabis and bringing it to the forefront is women's wellness. I know as a woman, as a nurse, as a wife, as a mama, just those roles in themselves can be a lot and overwhelming. And I wanted to find a way to help other women understand how to bring balance, not just on the outside of what we look like in our appearance, but internally that balance and using cannabis as wellness and a part of their medicine. And I say what I like to call my key ingredients to a delicious life is medicate, masturbate, and meditate, and bringing those three in to create balance and bliss. So that is my little story. It's
Wow.
my area.
What were the 3 M's again?
Yes,
What were the
medicate,
3 M's again?
and meditate. Yes.
Interesting. We got to hear more about that. All right, Miss Sherry.
Hi, my name is Sherry Cofield. I am an RN, a PhD candidate, a cannabis nurse consultant, advocate, educator, speaker, and owner and founder of 2C Canna Health and Wellness, LLC. 2C Canna Health and Wellness is focused on advocacy, educating, and assisting anyone on the benefits of CBD. So, 2C Canna Health was birthed because I had a lot of people asking me about products once they found out I was a cannabis nurse consultant. So I have an e-commerce business with my own CBD line for anybody who wants the benefits without getting high or testing positive on a drug test.
Interesting. Thank you. Miss Lolita.
Hello, everyone. I am Lolita Cornegay. I'm the founder of Consume. My story started a few years ago when I was diagnosed with some medical conditions, and I ended up using cannabis to help with pain relief, and it was the only thing that really worked. But my issue was that it was hard for me to learn everything about cannabis because I didn't know anything. So I kind of had to do a lot of self-teaching. So I founded Consume to be an educational platform for other licensed medical professionals like nurses and doctors and therapists so that they can learn all about cannabis as a medicine and then in turn go back to their local communities and relay the message to everyone else out there.
Thank you. Miss Vincina. Vincina. You're on mute. Sierra, we'll go ahead, go with you.
Okay, good evening. I'm Sierra Keaton. I'm an RN. I'm a cannabis nurse consultant and educator. I am founder of Care with Balance and Dignity Incorporated. It is a 501c3 organization, and we are dedicated to educating the community, patients, healthcare professionals about cannabis. My journey with cannabis started as I was a transplant coordinator, and I was really a huge advocate for my patients. And I had a patient that was really near and dear to me. Began to flourish, and it was because of his use of cannabis. And he let me know that I could take him off the transplant list. It didn't matter. He wasn't going to stop. And that's what made me begin to research. Okay, I have to know more about this because he was like one of my babies. So that's what started my journey. And our communities need it, especially our elderly. So that's our mission.
Listen, I'm trying to understand why I'm seeing two of you. You're on mute.
Okay.
Okay. Marjorie, can you describe?
Yes, I am the co-founder and the CEO of Divine Epicurean, and I'm also the COO of D Mirage, which will be a up and coming luxury cannabis club, which will just be a place where you'll be able to consume a luxury lounge where you'll be able to consume cannabis. I'm also a chef, and I cook with cannabis. A lot of the people who I cook for, they use cannabis for pain management. They don't necessarily want to smoke. I deal with a lot of high end individuals who don't really like people to know that they smoke or they deal with cannabis. And I got into it because, well, I love to cook. I've been cooking for over 12 years, and cannabis it kind of worked out. I tried it out with a few people, and it worked for their pain management. It helped a couple people eat, and then it just some people enjoy the highness of THC, enjoys it also. So it ended up being a cool rounded decision to go into cannabis.
Okay. You ladies have some very interesting things going on. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I have lupus, and I recently started dabbling in cannabis and CBD, and I've noticed a big difference. But some people, it's kind of like a taboo topic. And so I wanted to bring it to the forefront to let people know that, you know, the things that we used to be scared of, we don't have to be scared of anymore. And I wanted them, I love the fact that a lot of you are nurses, because I know that that's another fear factor too of people that are in the healthcare industry. They're like, well, I really don't want to deal with cannabis, or I don't want to deal with CBD because I don't know what's going to happen in my place of employment, or am I going to get labeled, or am I going to pass a drug screen? So what advice would you have for people out there that are, that can truly benefit from cannabis or CBD? What advice would you give them? And could you describe a benefit or two that you've noticed yourself in dealing with it through your business? You could just do a round robin. Everybody can just chime in.
I was going to just say, for me as a nurse, I know that is one of the biggest concerns, and, it's a red flag. It's always been a big deal. And just to be very transparent, I almost lost my license because of cannabis some years back. So even having that always kind of had me a little bit more like, I know it has benefit, but, risking my job or wellness, which was kind of what a lot of us have to do and many nurses are doing right now. But the fact that personally, to notice a difference with my sleep, like I used to have an issue sleeping through the night. And I'm not a person who likes to take medication. And I actually have a sister who was taking something for sleep. And she's like, I don't like the way it helped. I felt the next day. But for both of us to try this, and that was the one thing that I'm like, wow, I slept all night. I feel good the next day. And I can still take a dose during the day. I felt so focused. And that was another thing. Like during the day with working from home, I still had focus. It wasn't, and this is with me using CBD. Which is also part of cannabis, but using the CBD, I noticed I felt good and relaxed, but it wasn't high, and for a lot of people, they need that because we're all, especially with everything that's been going on in the last year, stress is on an all-time high, as if stress wasn't already high in a lot of people. And to have something to help relax you, calm you down, and not having all the side effects of your traditional medications. And even as we speak, I've been helping with my grandmother this week. And ironically, I've been using CBD with her this started sometime last year, actually. And I know when her sundowners hits, I know what time to dose it now. And so that I notice a difference when she has that, as opposed to when she wasn't using it, or when she was just using prescription medication, which made no difference. Honestly, there was no difference at all. So to have her able to rest through the night, calm, and when I can tell that there's something coming along, I know I can give her something that's safer, as opposed to, oh, Granny, take a Xanax, and as a nurse, we see so many patients who are elderly who are taking so many medicines, and I'm like, I see why you're falling. I see why this is going on. So to have another alternative, and with it being safe as well, with less side effects, has just been amazing within my family, just to see that difference, personal and within my family. So
I chose to get a CBD product line because I suffer with knee pain, and I tried CBD and it worked for me. And at my age, 50 plus, I started jogging. I have never been able to run before. And then other nurses that I know, they wanted pain relief, but they didn't want to get high, and they didn't want to test positive for THC, with the possibility of losing their license and losing their jobs. So since CBD worked for me, I felt like it was a good fit. And then I had people asking me for products, and I could advocate for a product that worked for me. So that was the main reason why I got into CBD.
Well, I can say, with cooking with cannabis, it benefits. I work with both ends of the spectrum: the people who use it for health and people who use it for recreational reasons. And on both ends, cooking with cannabis has just been. I've seen a lot more people are more into the food than the actual smoking of the herb. So then I increased the different types of food that I put it in, and we try to cook everything as organically and healthy as possible. So I'm like, okay, well, everything is fresh, and so let's just add this to it and see what happened. And even in lotion, I mean, I just put it in lotion just to find out what happens, and I was like, oh, it stopped pain too. Oh, okay. So it was like a trial and error experiment, but it benefits both sides of the spectrum for the field that I'm in.
Well, I have to say that my love for cannabis grew as I got deeper into it. I always tell it's so many layers, and as you get deeper and deeper, I just continue to fall in love with the plant. I'm like huge on the cannabinoid spectrum and terpenes, and for myself, I use CBD for wellness and for weight loss. Actually, I was a frontline worker for the last year. I was looking COVID dead in the face. I was not perfect. I'm pretty sure my mask slipped at some times. And I really do believe the immune health that you get behind CBD and building up my ECS system, it was truly why I was able to go on the front line, working 60 to 72 hours a week, strong, not getting sick, not one time, not blinking an eye. So for me, that's my personal journey with it. On top of seeing it in my family, there's so many things, from my mom's anxiety to my sister having a high-risk pregnancy and couldn't get up because her hips hurt, being able to use it for any modality, whether it's cannabis or or say THC, regardless of what state, or CBD. I'm able to offer some type of relief to almost everyone I come across. And you can't do that with any other medication.
And
Vincina, I'm sorry, I was just trying to see if Vincina was able to. Vincina, are you able? You need to come off of mute. You're on mute.
It's at the
You're
bottom of
on
the
mute.
screen.
Poor baby. Okay, I'll continue to text her. I'm sorry, Miss Lolita. Go ahead.
That's not a problem. Well, from my perspective, I understand what you mean by when people want to try to use cannabis or CBD and they are afraid to do so because of what may happen at their jobs. And so for me, one of the solutions is to provide as much education as possible so that people can start to understand exactly what the plant is and what the plant can do for them. And so community education is huge, and that's something that needs to just be standard. I also feel that cannabis should be taught in school as part as a curriculum. Like, people need to understand it more, and we need to start it young. Start them young understanding it, and not just wait, until it. I'm tired of people making it such a taboo subject. So if we can make it just normal, then, it wouldn't be such a bad thing.
So when you say start young, how young are you talking about starting it?
I would say high school. I would definitely say high school would be the age. I mean, kids in high school are already drinking. They're doing other stuff. Like, they need to know about cannabis, but the positive parts of cannabis, which all of it's positive, actually. So they definitely need to know about cannabis.
Wow. All right. For those that are watching, if you could like and share this post, it would be greatly appreciated. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions in the comments area so that we can let these ladies answer the questions for you. Let me see if I can unmute Vincina.
Okay,
so we can hear what she has.
There twice. Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Finally.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
All right, so let me just catch up real quick. I'm Vincina Person. I'm a registered nurse. I'm in direct sales, and I love CBD. About 30 years ago, I was in a car accident, and I shattered my right ankle and left. So fast forward, I have arthritis. I do not need to take any pain medicines, Motrin, Percocets, anything like that. When I was introduced to CBD, that helped me a lot. That's the only thing that I took about 5 years ago. The physician started convincing about 5 years ago, my physician was telling me that the only thing that was left for me to do was to fuse my ankle, which I refused to do. So like I was saying, I do not take any of those steroid injections. I do not do Motrins, Percocets, or anything like that. So since I've been introduced to CBD, it has helped me tremendously. That's the only thing that I take. I think I heard Sierra mentioning, saying something about helping her other family members. My grandmother and my mom, who was saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost, they were skeptical about taking it. They was like, okay, Vincina, you ain't giving me no weed, are you? I was like, no, Mom, you have to try this. So I can say that, some people, everybody does not want to get high. Some people just want to get healthy. So that's why I'm also an advocate for CBD.
Wow, you guys have some interesting stories. So when you first got into cannabis and CBD, I'm hearing some of your personal stories, but were you kind of hesitant? Were you kind of worried about what everyone else would say? How did you get over that initial hurdle for those that are out there thinking about venturing into this landscape that you guys are in?
I'll start. Go ahead.
Well, for me, I'm a preacher's kid, and I was just taught that, weed or marijuana or cannabis is a drug and you stay away from drugs. Like that was the point blank period end of it. But it got to the point with my own health that nothing was working, So I was literally desperate for just pain relief. It was just that much. Like I would do anything if somebody could be like, you won't be in pain for the next 24 hours. So for me, I was desperate. I ended up starting out with a really high CBD to THC ratio, meaning it was primarily CBD with just a splash of THC up in there. But as I got comfortable with cannabis, and it started working for me, I ended up decreasing that ratio. So it's more of a 1-to-1 ratio at this point. But my recommendation to anyone out there who's like me, who thought cannabis was like the devil, just know that it's not the devil and that you will be okay. And that honestly, the benefits you receive from it will outweigh your thought process.
I would have to say that I was hush hush for a long time because I was worried, especially because I was still in the healthcare field. I was still in the corporate world, and I just didn't know how people would take it. And so it wasn't until I would be at work, like working on things, and I would have one day, I was working night shift and someone came up to me and asked me what I was working on. And so I kindly told him, and he asked for my info because he had questions about it. And before the end of the shift over, almost the whole unit came up to me and was like, hey, can I get your information? So then I realized like not even nurses knew what this was. And I was like, I just couldn't be quiet about it. And a pastor came to me and said, old people in church have pain too, and made me just more comfortable in getting out there.
Well,
So I'm new to this, but what I have found is that I'm kind of afraid to mention it because I am in the corporate world. I am a nursing instructor, but I did mention it to one of my supervisors at one of the colleges that I work at. And she said, Sherry, how can I incorporate this into our lecture? Where can I incorporate it? And so I told her, I said, we'll have a conversation about it. So she is willing to incorporate it into the format. And so I think that is my way to get in, and that's my lead in. But one of the colleges that I work at is a well-known top 10 college. I can't mention it there. So.
Yeah, I think we still have a lot of work to do. Like Lolita was saying, you said you're a PK, and just to like, even with my mom, I don't think she shares it a lot because, it'll still be like to the church people, what you taking, Sister Smiley? So, I mean, it's still, I don't know. I just think we still have a lot of work to do. It's frowned upon. It still has a taboo around it. I'm like 1-to-1 ratio as well. Like I said, I was, really like given no choice. I remember the doctor saying to me, well, eventually your pain is going to be so great and you'll be back to see me and you will get your ankle fused. And I was like, no, I'm not. I will not get my ankle fused, and I'm not doing a total ankle replacement. And I have not so far. So he was just like kind of threatening me and trying to push me into that. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So, and then we're all nurses. We know that the steroid injections destroy your bone. So I don't do those either. So, like I said, I'm just grateful to be on the CBD. I think we still have a lot of work to do. Like I said, it's just a lot of taboo behind it. And people just don't really understand. They don't understand the difference between CBD and THC. So
I think there's a lot of stigma involved. And that's where the educational piece is going to come in. We as nurses, that's what we do. So I think that is where our niche is. We are going to have to educate, educate, and educate.
Great point. So, who wants to tackle telling people, starting the education now on this show, telling people, what's the difference between cannabis and CBD? Who wants to start that education piece for me?
I'd say the simplest way, because it can get really deep and it can be overwhelming. I always try to make things simple for everyone. I'll just say it that way. But for me, I look at it like cannabis. You got cannabis. I say that's the mama. And the mama had a set of twins. She had marijuana and she had hemp. Marijuana is popular. Everyone knows her, but she's a little wild. So people think, and her twin sister hemp, who they look alike, but they're a little different. Hemp is a little more laid back. She's at home chilling. And so with that, because that's the view that we kind of have of them both, marijuana, the reason it's kind of labeled, ooh, the bad drug, is that high effect, which it's that high effect. I'll go into that later, I was going to say, but it's the high effect. And you get that high effect from THC. That's what gives people the high. That's why, weed, stoners, Kumar and was it Kumar, Go to White Castle, those movies, those things, that's what it is. That's what's in marijuana. Now in hemp, it looks like marijuana pretty much. It looks a little different, but the biggest difference is it has a higher amount of CBD. And CBD in a very low THC. So that's why you can hear people on here talking about using CBD and there's no high. It's not that they just have a high tolerance. It's because there's no psychoactive effect. So it doesn't affect you to where you're going to have that high feeling. So for me, that's my easiest way of looking at it. I'm kind of breaking it down.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Marjorie, we haven't forgotten about you. Where are all of you ladies from? Because I really need for you to visit the D, because you are definitely in for a treat if you come to the D, because you have to stop at Marjorie's, because I've been to a couple of her parties, and somebody else on the screen too. I'm not going to call any names, but her food is just awesome, and you will leave feeling a different kind of way, but it's really, really good. So where's everyone from?
I'm from Detroit, born and raised.
I live in Georgia, Atlanta right now.
Detroit.
Born and raised in the D. Detroit.
Hey.
Well, I globe.
Oh.
Raised in St. Louis by way of California. I'm in Georgia right now, but I'll be back in Cali in a couple of months. So.
All right. So Marjorie, if you could just share with us some of the things that you've done with some of your food, and what made you go into, because I know you talk about the food, but you're taking it to a whole nother level where you're actually creating a social club, a cannabis social club.
Yes, we're we're in the process. Well, we're kind of already moving, but we're still in the licensing process on some terms. But our social club is a high-end luxury designated consumption center. That's one piece of it, where you have to be over 25. There will be a smoking side, a non-smoking side, and VIP rooms and other bonuses. But members have extra perks. So if you're a social club member, not only do you get free admission into the actual clubhouse, but you get discounts with our catering services. We do catering, personal chefs, and meal planning. So if you were to get any of those services, our members will get a discount, and it's based on the tier level of their membership. It also affords them a certain amount of cannabis per month, based on if they're a smoker or someone who likes just to consume the food, or edibles, or whatever it is your preference. So we kind of cater to you and what you need, and we help you get what you need every month.
So now you see why you guys have to come visit. Marjorie, what are some of the edibles that you offer?
I do shakes, coffee. I make homemade juices. I also do Kool-Aid. I do party favors. So like I create drinks with cannabis in them. We call them crafted cocktails. And for each event, we'll create a crafted cocktail. So if you're a drinker, let's say for example, you got a Moscow Mule. Well, we will create a Moscow Mule, but without alcohol, and would have cannabis in it instead, but it still gives you the same, and you just relax and lay back with it. I do a multitude of desserts. I have about 5 different flavor trifles that I do in different sizes. I do a little bit of everything. I make my own candy from scratch. I make my own gummy bears and suckers from scratch. Brownies, cakes, pies, lamb chops, fried chicken, greens, like whatever, pretty much whatever you think of. I can infuse it for you. It's available. But on the regular, the candies and when people order cookies, I cook them when they're on their way. So I kind of do make my dough, and I do like a break and bake dough. So when you come, you call and place an order for some cookies. Your cookies are actually fresh cookies because I am baking them when you tell me you're on your way.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. So is there such thing as too much when you think about cannabis? Is it can you like have too much? Should I be scared that, one day I'll be sitting around and I'll just be like laid out somewhere? Can you have too much? Help
I
school me,
don't think
ladies. I got lupus.
that.
I'm trying to get medicated here. I'm already eating the food, but I need to
I
learn the
don't
other
really think
side of
so.
it.
Like I don't think so. I mean, I think the most that will happen is you're going to go to sleep, and most people who go to sleep off of it, you probably really need to sleep, and you probably need the rest because, I mean, but then it also it depends on if you're looking for a sativa or indica. If you're trying to stay up, if you're trying to be mellow, I mean, all of that makes a difference also in what you're consuming. So when if I didn't technically dose something and I just made it, and this is an experiment, I'll be like, hey, now I'm gonna tell you now. Take your time, pace yourself, only eat this amount. Now if you don't listen to what the person telling you to intake, that's kind of on you, because somebody, if they telling you don't take more than this or you're gonna be asleep until tomorrow, and then they do it.
I
The
think one of the benefits is that because of our ECS system, we don't store those cannabinoids, so our body gets rid of them eventually. So it's our body balances. So like she said, probably the worst thing before you could consume too much, you'll just probably go to sleep. I tell my clients, if you don't like the way you feel, just take a little nap. When you wake up, you should feel better. So I think there was like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like you'd have to consume, it's like over 70 pounds of marijuana to have a lethal overdose. You would never be able to consume that. So
I think that's why
What if we
education is so important. Oh, I was just going to say that's why it's so important to be educated, because I know for us, with us having that knowledge of it, it's a little different. But if you just go into a dispensary or you're out of town and you're like, I'm in LA, I'm going to get some edibles. Some people, it can freak them out, or they get so turned off that they're like, no, I'm never going to do it again. So like, I know a lot of them, everyone has been saying that education is so important. Having someone to help you, like having a consultant or someone to kind of guide you so that you don't feel like, oh my God, did I have too much? Oh my God, am I going to go? Am I going to die? Because those feelings can really turn people away, and they can really miss out on such a good benefit from the plant.
But that's why, as a consultant, you go low and you go slow, so you can meet your patient where they want to be. We never start out with edibles. That's just a rule of thumb. We just never start out with edibles. So you really want to devise a care plan for your patient and find out what their goal is, and you want to meet them with that goal. So you can never OD on it.
Wow. Well, my daughter, you know, these we talked about, Lolita, you talked about educating them in high school. My daughter is 20 and she didn't beat me. She didn't went and got her a card, the medical marijuana card. And her and my son, he's 22. Those two together, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we should have started talking to them a couple of years ago. But they went to get some stuff for her, and you know, even when you look at it online and you see like you see the I don't know, what do you call a place, a dispensary? I don't even know the terminology for it. Help me out, ladies.
The dispensary.
And to just see all of that stuff, I would probably just be standing at the door like, now what? So how do you become educated to, even if you were to get you a card and to be able to go to the dispensary, how do you become educated to know what to get? You know, should I do homework beforehand? Should I have like a checklist? For those that are out there, you know, on the fence, help us out.
So of course, you know, I'm going to say they can hire one of us. And that's our job, is to help them understand that. But if they want to do it on their own, I would always say do your education before you go into the dispensary, because you're going to be overwhelmed when you go in there, like you were saying. And so you really need to understand what cannabis ratios are, so that if you're presented with something that's a 2-to-1 or a 4-to-1 or a 1-to-1, you'll understand what that means. So make sure that you understand the lingo in terms of indica versus sativa ratios, and then milligrams. So those are the 3 things you need to understand before you go into a dispensary.
Okay. Can you recap those 3 things one more time for me?
Sure. Everyone should understand what the difference between cannabis sativa and cannabis indica and hybrids, ratios of CBD to THC, and then milligrams. How much is included in that package that you're buying?
Interesting. Any other suggestions from anyone else out there?
I'd say for CBD, because I think everyone kind of just lumps CBD as one, but then you have different types of CBD as well. So if you're someone who's concerned about a drug test, but you want to use CBD, knowing that there are options for just the isolate CBD where there's no THC, or you have the broad spectrum, which still has components of the plant, but no THC, or you want the full plant, which is the full spectrum. So knowing those differences too can help if you're looking for just a CBD product, you know, if that's the hemp side you're going. So
I think it helps.
Yes,
also.
but you have to be careful with the full spectrum, because full spectrum has trace amounts of THC, and you can test positive.
I was just going to add, also make sure that your dispensary is professional and that they are actually asking for ID and cards, and you're not like fearing for your life when you go into the dispensary. And it also helps to just take someone that's knowledgeable. I think, instead of just, you know, going into the dispensary by yourself. And then also, as is it Sherry? And she said, start low and go slow with it.
I would also add that if it is medicinal, hopefully whoever the provider that's giving them, that's really where it should start. You say what helps. Hopefully whoever is giving them the recommendation for the marijuana educates them a little bit, and they should know to expect that. Ask before they leave there what type of products they should be getting, and hopefully they can be guided that way also if they're doing the journey by themselves.
Interesting. Interesting. So if we were to go into the high schools, like you said, these kids are into everything and everything. So if we were to go into the high schools, kids say that they think that they know everything anyway. What could we possibly tell them to make them hit pause so that they can, take time to understand some of the stuff that you guys have said to them without them listening to all of their friends and all the gossip and stuff like that? How do we slow them down to make them really understand the benefits of it and trying to see if they really need it at that point in their life?
I think that it's good to let them know how it to me is. I've seen benefits as far as like with ADHD, children who have anger issues. It keeps them from lashing out. I've seen a child not be on ADHD medicine and would take THC, and it kept them from it kept them normal, I guess, in so many words. What they would consider normal. The child paid attention in class. The child did this. They didn't have to. The child wasn't jumping up and down and bouncing all around and everything. So I think that telling them like these are the things that it does help you with, or maybe introducing it to students who have these things going on and nothing is helping, and they may have parents who believe in natural things and not want them to take that medicine because a lot of those medicines cause other issues and cause you to have to be on some other type of medicine.
I think having just having an open dialogue, like anything else, like sex, just talk to him. Talking to my son, when I mentioned that, like my teeth might have that is he's not interested at all in it. He's not interested at all. He was like, so this product is not going to get me high. What is it used for then? I'm like, no, it's not. So the only products that he's interested in is maybe the Alleviate with the balm. He's not interested in any of the smokable CBD that I have. And I think that, again, it's just education. And, because if you don't talk to them, they're going to just talk to their friends and, get all kind of misinformation from them. So again, we have a very open and honest, dialogue that we use. And Fred can tell you more about CBD and THC than I can. I mean, he'll break down milligrams and ratios and all of that. And you know how the young kids are. Like Lolita was saying, they're already doing stuff anyway, and he is not interested in CBD at all. So
I think it would be good for kids if you taught them from the standpoint of the endocannabinoid system and understanding how it actually works in our body. I think because all they know of it is kind of what we grew up is, it's a drug, you smoke it, you get high. And it's cool to smoke because you see it on TV, But even for myself, I never looked at it beyond that for a very long time. So I think having that basic understanding of it I'm not saying it's just going to open their eyes and they're like, oh, Mom, I'm going to smoke this weed because I need to relax and it's for my anxiety or anything like that. But just to open their eyes up to the bigger picture of cannabis. And like real talk, I have a 15-year-old son and he knows that I use cannabis. I use CBD. I use actual marijuana. He's seen me trying to learn how to grow a plant. And it's funny because my mom's like, is it Max there? Or maybe I shouldn't say whatever. Is it Max there? And I'm like, yes, but he would see me grow tomatoes. He would see me grow a lily or whatever. It's a plant. And when I normalize it like that for him, it's not like, oh my God, my mom does drugs. My mom's a drug addict. No. And even for him, with playing sports, I'll use topicals and creams. And And even for him, he notices it with our pet. We have a puppy, and I've used that for him. And he's like, so he's putting it together. Like, I see what you're saying. Like, maybe this is for our body. Maybe this does really work. So having those open conversations and making it a full picture of how it actually works in our bodies. Like, kids learn about our bodies, well, to some degree. I guess they learn about sex and then they try to figure it out. But if we know that, have that knowledge as parents, just the basic understanding, and they're getting some kind of basic understanding in school, and having those open conversations, like we're saying, it'll make it a lot easier for them to not look at it as, oh, I just get high. You know, yeah, you may be getting high, but you can be healed and high. You can be healed and not high, you know? So I think that's important.
That's very insightful. Let's take it in another direction, because I think we've hammered the kids home. I think that parents out there that are watching this may have some information they can give to their kids now. A lot of us are in the healthcare industry, and what about legislation out there to make it, because a lot of us, we're working in healthcare, but we're still human. We still have aches and pains and, all these comorbidities and so forth. Why shouldn't we be able to indulge in these benefits of cannabis and CBD without feeling backlash from our employers? At what point do we go to Washington or to Lansing or wherever your state government is and say, okay, if I take this, I shouldn't be punished if I do a drug screen? At what point do we take it a step further there? At what point do we become advocates for ourselves on that realm? Have any of you considered it, thought about it?
Yes, actually, Bridget dropped off on us. Bridget dropped off on us. Come on back, Bridget. Here she goes. Actually, Dr. B, there is a large movement on advocacy. So I went to a conference, and there are advocates from Denver, California, Vermont. It is a large advocacy group. And their recommendation is for us to get on like the ANA, different associations, so that we can advocate in our states. But there is a large advocacy on the legalization of marijuana and CBD. And the thing about it is, it's still illegal on the federal level. That is the problem. So we have to get that wiped out or get it legalized on the federal level. Because at the state level, it could be legal, but you could still be convicted on the federal level. So that's the problem.
I think it's really taking a stand, especially when it comes to our state level. All jobs have different policies and procedures in place, and some of them are different. I know for sure in California, there's talks about having THC removed off of the drug screen panel. But I think it's being bold enough to challenge those advocacies. Like for me, myself, I got to the point where if I tested positive for a drug screen, I was going to advocate for myself. It's not fair that you can be, no offense, but you can be an alcoholic, you can be any type of other druggie, and those drugs go out of your system in a few days. But because cannabis sticks around in our bodies, because our bodies are used to it, that should be a default for me. And, I just think that you have to be a voice, and you have to not be scared. I think a lot of times in healthcare, we're, as nurses, especially if we are employers versus, business owners, we're so afraid of the backlash instead of being able to stand for what we believe in. So.
All right. Well, let's take it another direction, because I heard a lot of it in the beginning of the conversation. And again, for those that are watching, if you have any questions for these young ladies, please drop your comments so that we can answer them for you. But we talked a lot about, a lot of you mentioned church in the beginning. How do we talk to the people that are in the church? How do we talk to the mothers and that are in the church? Like, I hear how some of you are saying, hey, I slipped grandma some of this and I slipped grandma some of that, but grandma is not the only person that needs it. How do we get to that? How do we, just basically, take over a Sunday church session and be like, hey, you guys, let's talk about this today. How do we do that?
I just talk about it. I mean, I guess I've always been like the rebel kid. So even working at my when I was working at a day job, I talked about it there. I educated people in the office about it. I was telling them information that they didn't know about. Pastors come in there, reverends, all type of people come in there, and I'll just talk about it, and that's it. I mean, that's just me though. I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about it. Even though I was in corporate America, I still kind of talked about it. And then when it became legal on recreation and medical, I talked about it even more. So I guess it was just different for me.
Community events, that's actually what kind of started me. Like, my mentors happen to be pastors, and I think that's what gave me my confidence, because I can't imagine, I mean, they would have me come and talk to their church, but I can't imagine having that confidence in the beginning. I don't know how I would have presented it to them. And I also always start the conversation with CBD, because even though I know it is cannabis, they see it in a different category. So it's easier to kind of warm them up to it as well.
I agree with Sierra. If you start them off just thinking just about CBD, then it's an easier sell. But also, if you can really address their pain point, like what's the reason that they want to even try it in the first place? Is it because they want a greater quality of life, or is it that they just don't want to be in pain, or do they want a better sex life? Like, whatever the case may be, come from that angle and show them how it's naturally a part of our bodies anyway, and this is something that we are doing to enhance our lives, then they may be more open to hear more about it.
Something I was going to mention earlier, which is funny you brought this up, is a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to be high. And I'm like, you taking all these medicines, you on gabapentin, you on oxycodone, somehow you still getting Norco, you take, and I'm like, you not high on all of that? Like, really? And these are your grandmother who is a mother at the church. And I know these people personally. So it's, again, it really always goes back to that education. And like Lolita said, when you can hit that pain point for them, it kind of brings it full circle. Because I've said that to people. I'm like, well, the medicines you're taking, I know you got to be high on that. You have to be. So that can get you high. You're taking an opiate. And people don't look at it that way, because I guess the doctor writes it on that script. So for some reason, it's like, it's the golden ticket. It's a little different. But I'm like, when you kind of break it down that way, it's not an overnight thing. I think that population is, when it comes to church, and I realized from just myself growing up in church, I'm like, these are the people who need it. They can be sometimes some of the sicker people, and, only want to just rely on faith and what that doctor says, and that's it. And it's like, man, if you just really put a more holistic approach, you could be so much better and have such a better quality of life. That's the thing too, because you're taking all these prescription medicines, but rarely do I see anyone, or I've talked to anyone rarely who's, I don't know, very rare, who's ever been on so many medicines and they like, I feel amazing. Like, no, I feel great. Like, no, that I don't know anyone who said that. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that point back about the high thing. It's just funny how people are so against high, but sometimes they're still high with the medicines that they're taking.
Wow. I've learned a lot. I mean, I really thank each and every one of you ladies for showing up today and showing out and talking about high feedback, hearing info, getting honest feedback about cannabis and CBD. I've learned a lot. Maybe I can go upstairs now and talk to these two I hate to say kids because they're grown when they want to be. You know how they are when they're 20 and 22. They be kids when they want to be, and then an adult the next minute. But I'm gonna definitely make them watch the replay so that they can watch this. But I think that a lot of people that are out there need to watch this replay because we've touched on a lot of different topics. We've talked about the kids, we've talked about the church, we've talked about the health benefits. So I really truly appreciate each and every one of you for bringing your insight. As we close out, I would love to have each of you ladies again to take a moment to talk about your business and to cover something to bring a point about something that maybe we didn't cover. But I do want to highlight the fact that you ladies are business owners, and share with people the information on how they can get in contact with you. And again, I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to be on Dr. B's Let's Talk Grown Folks Style. I've learned a lot. So if we could just do a round robin again, highlight what your business is, how they can get in contact with you, and leave one point that possibly hasn't been shared or something that has been shared and we really need to make sure that we highlight it. So anyone can start.
Okay, I'll start. I am Marjorie Harvey. I am the owner of D Mirage and Divine Epicurean. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, D Mirage 420 Club and Divine Epicurean Entertainment. We're also going to be at 5 Mile Hall on 5 Mile Hall on Finco in Detroit this coming Friday, and we're actually selling food and infused food. So if you want to come try us out, you can. We'll be there from 5 to 9 o'clock.
My name is Sherry Cofield. I am the owner and founder of 2C Canna Health and Wellness, LLC. I have an e-commerce business with my own personal line of CBD products. And one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is everybody talked about the endocannabinoid system. Well, it's the system in our body that helps maintain balance and homeostasis. So when we talk about the endocannabinoid system and CBD, it binds to the CB2 receptors. THC binds to the CB1 receptors, which causes the euphoria. So our goal is to help you find pain or relief without the high. We can be found at www.2ccannahealthandwellness.live or live.
Hi, my name is Vincina Person, and I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a CBD advocate. I have an online e-commerce store. And what I would like to just point out again is that, some people do not want to get high. They want to get healthy, and to start low, and then to, just make sure that they visit their, do a consultation, see what their needs are. And again, just listen to their consultant. And you can also, you can find me at www.vincinaperson.com on all social media platforms. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Okay, I'm Lolita Cornegay, the founder of Cansoom. So I provide cannabis education for licensed medical professionals. So if you are one of those medical professionals, you can go to cansoom.com, and all of my information is located right there. And I just want to leave everyone who's watching a message that if you want to try cannabis or CBD, don't be scared. You will be okay. Trust all of us. You will be okay. And you actually might, improve your life in some shape or way. So give it a try.
I'm Erica Danielle. I'm an RN, CEO of Canna Nurse Heal. You can find me on Instagram, CannaNurseHeal_LLC. I also, just to shout out Miss Lolita, I am a Cansoom alumni. That was a course I took to become a consultant one of the best courses. So if you're interested, definitely is worth it. I also offer the CanSoon course for medical professionals. And I have a book coming out called A Woman's Guide to a Delicious Life. So that will be out within the next month. I do offer consulting as well, one-on-one consulting. So for those who are kind of like, I like what they're talking about, but I don't know if that's for me, you can check me out. I do offer free consults at cannanurseheal.com.
And I'm Sierra Keaton, RN CEO of Care with Balance and Dignity Incorporated. And I actually coach nurses who want to start their Canna journey and are looking for Canna nurse missions and don't know how to jump in. So I offer 6-month coaching courses for that. And I also am launching a cannabinoid wellness line, custom products designed with you in mind. We look at terpenes, we look at cannabinoids, because that is truly where the science and the medicinal benefits lie. So you can reach me on my website, www.cacbdfoundation.com. I'm on Facebook under Sierra Keaton. So.
And I'm a graduate from Sierra's program.
Loving all these connections, Again, thank you, ladies. Thank each and every one of you. I learned a lot. This was very, very informative. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to help educate and entertain and enlighten everyone that's watching. I will be sure to like this and share it so that people can watch it. I'm hoping that the people that are watching will do the same. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for everything. Okay, everyone out there, this is Dr. Bridget Leonard, Dr. B's Best Life. I am looking forward to seeing you all again, and check out these fabulous ladies. I've given you a great lineup with a lot of great information. Please reach out to them, if not only for the educational information. Like they said, some of these great women have businesses out there. If you want to be consultants, they can help you with that. If you need products, they can help you with that. We even got food out there for you. We got everything that you need. It's like one-stop shopping right here on this screen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's have a good one.
Good evening.